Culture Scrutiny Committee on the 19th of January 2022. Just to make you all aware, today's meeting will be recorded. Can I also welcome any members of the press and public to today's meeting? Can I kindly ask you to observe the meeting only and not to speak or participate? Can I please remind you to switch your phones off to silent and for the duration of the meeting. In addition, can I refer you to the protocols, which we all know so well now, for remote meetings which have been previously circulated, namely microphones should be switched to mute unless you're speaking. Should you wish to ask a question or make a comment, can you please indicate via the chat function or by raising your electronic hand in Teams. I will assume you've read the paperwork before this meeting today, and please only use the chat function to indicate if you wish to speak as an alternative to the electronic hand function or to raise any technical issues. When asking a question, can you please indicate which page number you're referring to? The first item on the agenda is to do a roll call. I'm Councillor Sonia Reynolds, the chair of this meeting, and I'm present. I'll now call on Charlotte, the Democratic Services Officer, to take the roll call. Charlotte.
Thanks, Chair, and I'll mark you as present. Councillor Rydian Maisen.
Yeah, present, Charlotte.
Councillor Matthew Crowley.
Present, Charlotte.
I've had apologies from Councillor Sian Harris. Councillor Jane Jones.
Present, Charlotte.
Councillor Dennis Keogh.
Present, Charlotte.
Councillor Sandra Miller. No. Councillor Marcia Spooner.
Not present, Charlotte.
Councillor Rebecca Phillips.
Present, all present.
Councillor Mark Prothero.
I'm present, thanks, Charlotte.
Councillor Suzanne Renkes. Councillor Renkes. No. Councillor Anthony Richards. I have had apologies, but he may attend halfway through, Chair. Councillor Dave Whitelock.
Present, thank you, Charlotte.
Rob Wood.
Sorry, Charlotte. Charlotte,
Present,
I am
Charlotte.
here. Sorry, Suzanne Renkes. I'm sorry. I
No, it's okay. It's no problem.
kept pressing the wrong button. Sorry.
It's okay. And Councillor Wood, you're in attendance as well.
I'm
isn't
here,
it?
yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Joe Hale.
Present, Charlotte.
Thank you. And if I just move on to co-opted members, Marie Caddick.
Present, Charlotte.
Thank you. Roberto De Benedictis. Adam Moore.
Present, Charlotte.
Linda Newman.
Yes, present, Charlotte.
And then cabinet members, Councillor Alan Lockyer.
Present, Charlotte.
Councillor Peter Rees.
I'm present, Charlotte.
And then if I move to officers, Andrew Thomas.
Present, Charlotte.
Chris Millis. Katie.
Present, Charlotte.
Rhiannon Crowhurst.
Yes, present, Charlotte.
John Burge.
Present, Charlotte.
Liz Dennis.
Present, Charlotte.
Ian Guy.
Present, Charlotte.
Zoe Ashton.
Present, Charlotte.
Roger Bowen.
Present, Charlotte.
Kate Windsor Brown.
Present, Charlotte.
And Tammy Davis.
Present.
Is there anyone that is participating in today's meeting that I've missed at all in the roll call? No, then Chair, that's everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. In that case, I would like to just indicate that we have chosen to scrutinise items 7 and 8 on the Cabinet agenda. We haven't had questions in for the other items. Everybody's read the papers and are happy with the papers, but we'll be scrutinising the Welsh in Adults, Welsh in Education Strategic Plan and the Strategic School Improvement documents. Other than that, so could anybody indicate if they have questions on other papers on the agenda, please? I'm not seeing any. So we'll be sticking to those 2 items. In that case, can I ask for declarations of interest? I have a declaration as the as a trustee and chair of Carnarvon Mardy that runs Lots of Tots, which is named in the Welsh in Education Strategic Plan, and also I believe that the school of which I'm a governor, Uscol GCG, is also mentioned. Dave Whitlock.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's in the Cabinet Papers, item 10, annual pupil attendance. Ysgol Cwm Brombil is actually mentioned in that part of the report, and I'm a governor at Ysgol Cwm Brombil.
We're not actually scrutinising that report, Councillor Whitlock, so you don't need to make a declaration.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Phillips.
Yeah, I'm a governor at Ysgol Gynradd Gymraeg, Trefanos and Pontedawer as well, Chair. Thank you.
That's for the Welsh for Adults report. Not Welsh for Adults, Welsh in Education.
For the
report.
WESP, yes. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, that's stuck in my mind now. I'm sorry for that. And if I may, can I have oh, I've forgotten the name. Armour.
Adam Amor, yes.
Adam Amor, that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a son in Ysgol Rosafon and Yslefyr y Brodyr, and I'm a governor in both, which are mentioned in the WESP. But I've had legal advice, and it's just personal, so it's not prejudicial, so I can stay. They
are all personal interests, I believe, so because there's no money changing hands on this report. So we are looking at, I think I've covered all the hands there. Yes. Things quite slow on my machine, I'm sorry, so I'm being cautious. And therefore we move to looking at the first the minutes of the 25th of November. I need on the scrutiny agenda, I need a proposer and a seconder that we approve those minutes.
I move, Chair.
And a seconder?
I second, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, and then pre-decision scrutiny. We're scrutinising first the Welsh in Education Strategic Plan. Rhiannon Crowhurst, I understand you're presenting this, and I don't know if you want to say anything before we ask for questions. Andrew, you also have your hand up. Would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I'd just like to say 1 or 2 things before I hand over to Rhiannon and Kate. Just it's a big thank you, actually, Chair, to all the different partners and agencies and stakeholders that have been involved in putting this draft plan together for members today, and then hopefully, you know, commend it to full council. It's true to say that when this report came to members for asking for permission to consult, I said then that, you know, we were starting probably a little bit later than other councils, and there were good reasons for that. But I think we've made enormous progress, and we've caught up with other local authorities in record time. But more than that, it's not just about putting a plan together; it's the quality of it, and the point of that is the partners have really bought into contributing to the 7 objectives and the action plans attached to those. So just a big thank you to obviously my staff, but also importantly the partners that were involved in putting this together in such in such haste, if you like. So I'd just like to say that at the outset, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Rhiannon?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, before I say anything about the report, I need just to draw members' attention to the full IIA that was circulated, just to make sure that everyone is aware of that, and also to draw attention to the recommendation, which is going to be slightly altered to the following: having given due regard to the IIA circulated prior to the meeting and the responses to the consultation, that the draft WES be commended to Council for permission to submit to Welsh Government for approval. So just to make clear that this report will be going to Council, and that we're asking this committee to commend it so that we can take it forward to the next step. So yes, as Andrew said, this is very much a collaborative document. It's not been done by officers sitting in a room. It has been a very we've forged some very good relationships with some of the groups that we've been working with to form this WESP. It has been quite a rush process, but we feel, that we've got it to where it needs to be. I'm not sure there's much more that we could do to it at the moment. Consultation, all the information about consultation is in the report. We didn't have a huge number of responses, but we do feel that the responses that we did have were of very high quality. There was lots and lots of information contained in them, and there were lots of groups that responded. Almost all the consultation responses were positive. Very many of them contained suggestions for amendments, or asked for greater clarity in some of the points which we have done, and in the report you'll see that they are in red, just to make it clear which bits have been amended and where. I think the only really one negative response was received, which sort of said that our plan wasn't ambitious and it wouldn't increase numbers in Welsh medium education or increase numbers, being able to use the Welsh language as a whole. But every single other response we received suggested that wasn't the case. And if I say we received responses from Estyn, which is the school inspection body, and the Welsh Language Commissioner, and the Welsh Language Commissioner in particular felt that our plan was perhaps too ambitious, if you like, not as a criticism, but to make sure that we were able to deliver the targets that were in there, which we feel we can. So this is where we are. There is an appendix to the report which sort of gives a flavour of the responses that came in. We didn't put them all in because so many of them were saying the same sorts of things, but they've covered the themes in there. And I don't really think there's any more I can say now, other than we hope that that you agree we can take this forward to Council.
Thank you, Rhiannon. I'm going to move to questions, and we've got one question waiting from pre-briefing, which is Councillor Whitlock.
Thank you, Chair. Rhiannon just actually answered it. First of all, I'd like to say it's a fantastic plan and an excellent report, and thank everybody for the work that's gone into it. And my question was exactly what you said. Are you all confident that you're going to be able to deliver on it on time? And you just said yes. So that's my question answered, really. Thank you.
That was easy then. Thank you.
I've got a question as well come up from Rebecca Phillips, Councillor Phillips.
Councillor Phillips, you're on mute. Sorry.
That was a good start, wasn't it? Yeah, diolch Cadeirydd. Thank you, Chair. There's definitely a lot of positive things in the report. I do have some concerns regarding how the 10-year plan will be monitored. Can officers share the detail of this, please?
Yes, certainly. Initially, underneath each of these outcomes sits an action plan, which each outcome has a group of people who are best suited to working on that outcome, and they are developing, as we speak, an action plan to go underneath each one of those outcomes. Now, those groups will meet on a regular basis and will report back to the whole overall WESP forum, probably once a term, more often if we feel it's needed, but at the moment we're saying once a term, so that's 3 times a year. Each of those groups will feed back into the forum. So any sort of issues or concerns or anything that they may need support with to meet those targets, we can address within the forum. Additional to that, it is our intention to report back to this cabinet group every year on an annual basis. 10 years is a long time. And we have to do this in small steps, otherwise it's just too big, it'll just run away with us. So it is our intention to report back to you every year, and also to Welsh Government annually on progress within the plan and with each of those steps.
Is that all addressed, Councillor Phillips?
Thank you for that. If I may come back, Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. I see little mention of the effect the pandemic has had on parents and their confidence if they're from non-Welsh speaking backgrounds, sending their children to Welsh language schools. Is this something that's being looked at, and has any assessment been made to date, please?
Yes, a good question, and it has been looked at, but it doesn't feature as a very large part of the WESP at the moment, because we're hoping this is going to move on. By the time we get approval for this, the effects of the pandemic we were hoping would have moved on. Obviously, things seem to be just going on and on with it. But yes, as an education department as a whole, we are certainly looking at the effects of the pandemic, sorry, not just on the Welsh medium, but on the other groups within our schools as well, and within our, our higher education and our preschool settings. So it's certainly something we are looking at. I think Kate might be able to answer a bit more on that. Kate, if I hand over to you.
Yes, yes, we have looked at the pandemic, but we've also addressed the fact that I think a lot of parents have lost or are not confident anyway, even pre-COVID. So something we've addressed as a whole, not just because of COVID, but we've looked at the situation, and that's why we've gone back to, I think I mentioned before, to the pre-birth. We need to start raising the confidence within parents from pre-birth. That's why we've got midwifery health on board as well, to start addressing these issues. And we are hoping then to do a continuum throughout the journey to post-16 education as well, so that parents know it's not just if they choose Welsh medium primary, that then they should stay on that course then throughout the educational journey. Because I think, as you said, it all comes back to confidence. And if we can raise that confidence, it was in external agencies, not just education, but having everybody working in partnership together, that's how we're going to achieve that. We've also started off the record as well, addressing it with immersion units. We've had a Welsh Government grant for £100,000, and we've already started the process of opening 2 immersion units within areas, one in the south, one in the north of the authority. And these immersion units actually are not just for people from English-speaking backgrounds that join Welsh education later on, but they will address as well groups and clusters of children that have lost a lot of confidence within the Welsh language and lost a lot of their Welsh language as a result of the pandemic. So this will be piloted in the summer term and opened officially then in September. So this will hopefully, again, with a bit of media, with a bit of publicity, raise parents' confidence in the whole Welsh system as well.
Thank you. Councillor Phillips?
Yeah, diolch am hwnna, Kate. Yeah, that's really good to hear. And I think in terms of outcome 1 as well, there definitely needs to be a focus on the preschool provision, such as the Cylch being set on school grounds as well. I think as a parent, that's something really important in terms of choosing the school and the transition as the child from the Cylch to the school, hopefully then moving on to higher education as well. So yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm just wondering, would the aim long term for the authority for preschool to be set in a school environment? Would that be a long term aim for every school across the borough?
I can answer that if you like. I think it's a case of a bit like the SIP programme, the right school in the right place and the right setting in the right place. It may not be appropriate to put one in every single school. We may not have the land available or the space available in some schools. But I think we recognise very much the importance of the transition from the early years, the preschool, into the nursery setting and then into the school, and the importance of building relationships with parents early and all of these types of things. So I think I wouldn't say we would aim to put one in every school, but we would certainly aim to put them near to every school. You know, that would be, I think that would be an aim of us all.
I have more questions, Chair, but shall I come back later on?
No, carry on. I think it's we've got one other waiting, but you might as well finish off your run of questions. If I may, I'd like to just say that I believe the authorities also made commitments not to override existing provision in terms of childcare and nursery, particularly even where that's Welsh or whatever. So we need to be aware of that as a committee.
That's fine then, I'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
Do you want to, that's all of your questions, is it, Councillor Phillips? Or right?
Yeah, that's fine.
In that case, Councillor Myson.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, excellent report, and I certainly welcome it. And I'm very pleased that the plan to have 3 new Welsh-speaking primary schools in the county. I'm particularly interested in the one that we've outlined for the southeast, which is around like the Talbot area. You know, I can understand if there's nothing you can say on that yet, but I was wondering, if there is anything to say, are we looking for a new land, or would it be in an existing empty school? I just thinking of Duffin Lower, But I can understand, Rhiannon, if there's nothing you can say about it at the moment. But I just wondering if there was anything you could say about it.
I can tell you. Yes, I understand you perfectly. Yeah, I can only say before we've brought the next item on the agenda this afternoon. Actually, before we bring a proposal for a new school, there's an awful lot of work that goes on behind that. There's a lot of work to be done looking at pupil numbers, as you say, looking at land, which is quite scarce across Neath Talbot at the moment. Looking at impacts on schools that are already there. All these types of things. We are in the process of starting to look at these things now, and that's all I can tell you at the moment. I'm not trying to be subtle or secretive and say, we thinking we're going to put it here or there. We really are in the process of just starting to do this number crunching and these investigations to try and make sure that when we do bring you something, it's a well-developed plan, not just a vague idea. So. Yeah.
No, it just I guess you couldn't say much. No,
sorry.
Thank you. Any further questions from anybody? Can I therefore back up the thanks to all the officers and to others for this report? It's very obvious to us as a committee, and it was mentioned earlier, how much work has gone in, not only pre-consultation but post-consultation, to take account of people's comments and the changes that have been made. And it's a good report, and I think we welcome it as a committee. So if we move to the recommendation, we have a recommendation that is on page 21, which has been amended. I don't know if you want to read it out again, Rhiannon, just to be sure.
Yes, I could do that. It's no problem. Having given due regard to the integrated impact assessment circulated prior to the meeting and the responses to the consultation, that the draft OS be commended to Council for permission to submit to Welsh Government for approval.
Thank you. Can I have a proposer for that, please?
I move, Chair.
And a second, Chair. Thank you very much. So that will go forward to Council. In that case, we move to the next item, which is the Strategic School Improvement Programme, agenda item 8. Again, I've got Rhiannon down for presenting this, unless Andrew wants a word beforehand.
No, Rhiannon will take the report, but quite clearly members will be able to see the link between this next item and the last, as part of our commitment to developing the Welsh language across Neath Talbot. So Rhiannon will take the detail. Thank you.
Very, very definitely. Thank you. Rhiannon, have you got anything you wish to say further on the report?
Not really. I think the report is quite straightforward. It's not the first time that members will have seen it, because we've raised it in the West, but we've also submitted a report a while back on the Welsh Medium Grant. The only thing perhaps I should add that isn't in the report is that we still haven't had any news from Welsh Government on the outcome of that grant yet, but we're pressing ahead with this anyway because it's time sensitive and we don't want to miss any sort of windows of opportunity. So no, I think the report is clear, but obviously I'm happy to take any questions that members might have.
Thank you. I have one question from pre-briefing, which is from Councillor Marcia Spooner.
Thank you. Obviously, we welcome a new Welsh medium primary school. That's good.
Sorry, Marcia, you're incredibly quiet. I don't know if you can.
I'll try and bring myself a bit closer.
Sorry.
Better? I'm not usually accused of being quiet, I have to be honest, Chair.
Thank you.
So, as I say, yes, we did discuss it in the grant application, and part of that, it was mentioned that if start a school that could transition into the proposed new build at Coed Darcy. Do we have any further information? Are we still pursuing that, or are we looking at it being a purely complete school in Neath Abbey? That's my first question.
Yes, thank you. It's a difficult one to say because at the moment we still don't have any information on Coed Darcy. We don't have a start date. We don't know what's going on, where it is. So I think it's from our point of view, I think it's safer to say that this school will be this school as it is for now. I don't want to go forward with this proposal, speak to parents, you know, and prospective parents of the school, with a view that you might be here for a year or two and then we're going to move you somewhere else. I think until we get some definite information for Coindassie, we're going to have to say in our minds that this is where the school would be. Things could change overnight, and then we'll deal with that as it happens. It could be that if numbers rise in the way that we predict, and if our West goes forward in the way that we want it to, that we might need 2 schools in the area. We don't know, and in that case, you know, we'll deal with that when it comes along. But Kate, do you want to come in on that? Because I think you've got some relevant information around the numbers and things like that as well.
I was just going to say exactly what you just mentioned. We really have 2 options. At the moment, we are opening the school as a single form entry, and it'll be a standalone school in Skewen. But we have looked in detail at numbers, but also as well at numbers that we are losing cross-border as well, because of course the Skewen area is on the border of 2 counties. So if we take into account those numbers as well, and the projections of the numbers we may have within the future, it's quite likely that we'll need this school to expand in the future, or to look at an alternative site as well, to open an additional then Welsh medium primary on that site as well.
Thank you. Can I just come back on that? As you mentioned numbers, we're looking at the first year 45 part-time nursery. The following year is going to go to 30 full-time reception. So how does that work with where we put the other 50?
Yeah, this is a very oh dear, we spend hours working these things out. Right, as you know, in Neath Talbot, we have 2 nursery sessions. So we have a year group of nursery children who start when they're 3. Most of those then will stay in nursery the following year when they're 4, because they can't start full-time school until the year that they'll be 5. So we have 2 nursery year groups, if you like, within the 1 nursery class. So the 45 will give us 30 right, I always get the numbers wrong, nursery 2. So say the nursery children who are 4, so those 30 4-year-olds will transfer to reception in September, but the 15 will be 3-year-olds, and they'll stay to build the base of the next lot who come in. It allows us to be flexible, to offer places to children the term after their 3rd birthday, rather than filling it up with 4-year-olds, so those 3-year-olds miss out on a year in nursery. Does that make sense? Because it is very confusing. And
it does to me, but it is on paper. It does look. It does, yes, you know, and we know it all depends on their date of birth, to be honest, or they may not be able to start until there's room. You know, some just have to wait. But it does on paper. It does look. It's, you know, I worked in a primary school and I did all the admissions, so I'm more than aware. But it does look on paper. So I thought, as you mentioned, numbers. You know, yeah, good. We might need another additional Welsh medium school. Fab. But my last question is to do with the school travel plan requirements. I don't think these are point 73. Has an assessment been done already on that site, or is it still to come?
An informal assessment has been done, because it is a school site already and it's being used by more children than we are proposing to put in there at the current time. So we, you know, logic would tell us that that's not going to have a huge adverse impact to what's already there. It is also our aim in opening the school in this area that the children who attend it will be from within a 2-mile radius, which will mean walking distance, although we know obviously parents don't always choose to walk their children to school, but that's our aim. But when the school, should this proposal be approved now and go forward through all the processes, there will be consultation, and no doubt there will be opportunities for people to comment on any issues they see around transport. And when if the proposal is approved and the school is established, then the school, it is the duty of the school governing body, in conjunction with officers and our road safety officers and people like that, to draw up a school travel plan, to actually give the detail of how they're going to manage cars, children and everything else that they need to around that site. So short answer is not at the moment, other than a very informal assessment, but there will be as part of the scheme.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm seeing no further questions on this report. So I'm going to move to the recommendation, which is on page 119 of your papers. Can I have a proposer for that to be taken forward to Cabinet, please?
I propose, Chair.
And a seconder?
A second, Chair.
Thank you. And in that case, we were not going to scrutinise the other items on the Cabinet agenda unless anybody's got questions that they've come up with in this amount of time. So I ask you to take a look at the forward work programme on the scrutiny papers. We are looking at a meeting on the 17th of February at which we have an item that we have requested on childcare post-pandemic, and there may be another item, and then so we have those. Any views on the forward look?
No, Chair, it's just for noting on this occasion.
Yeah, and urgent items, there are none, so thank you for your attendance, and we wish Cabinet good discussions.
Thank you, Chair.
Very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Take care.